We tend to look at elite athletes as mythological figures. We assume they operate on a foundation of perfect genetics, immune to self-doubt, and armed from birth with an unbreakable innate confidence. But an ego built purely on confidence is fragile. When an 18-year-old Kobe Bryant shot 5 consecutive air balls in a high-stakes playoff game against the Utah Jazz, the typical athletic ego should have shattered. Instead, he detached himself from the embarrassment entirely. His internal response was to tell himself, "Get over yourself. You're not that important." This chart illustrates exactly what happens when you strip the ego away. You are left with pure, objective data. Kobe looked at his own biology and admitted his vertical leap was exactly 40 inches, well short of the 45 or 46-inch leaps of the league's true athletic freaks. His hands were big, but not massive. He was fast, but not the fastest on the floor. Because he couldn't rely solely on explosive quickness, he relied on geometry. He mastered precise angles, improved his grip strength to palm the basketball, and outstudied everyone else in the building. Kobe didn't wait for biology to provide his results. He calculated the exact skill and technique required to overcome his specific physical deficits. To optimize those variables, Kobe turned the world into his personal library. He went directly to the historical masters of the game, a process he called scaling Goat Mountain. He sought out Michael Jordan, adopting him as a big brother to extract the granular, obsessive details of his offensive footwork. He went to Magic Johnson to map out the spatial awareness and floor leadership required to run a championship offense. He studied Larry Bird to decode how a player with limited foot speed could still manipulate defenders through spacing and anticipation. And he absorbed the defensive philosophies of Bill Russell, examining exactly what it took to anchor a dynasty. This graph charts his exact point of failure, transitioning from a 35-game high school season to an 82-game NBA schedule. Mechanics didn't fail horizontally, but fell short vertically because his legs lost power. The mechanical solution? A weight training program tailored for an 82-game season. A public failure is a data point showing exactly where the next training cycle needs to focus. Scaling this level of performance requires erecting massive psychological boundaries. Kobe called it his gladiator mode. Before a game or a training session, he would flip a mental switch, the equivalent of a warrior smelling the dirt in the arena. He placed himself inside a psychological cage where he became entirely inaccessible. No talking, no touching, total isolation. This focus demands a heavy opportunity cost. He chose not to take vacations with other players. He didn't hang out just to hang out. Relationships with friends and family were put on hold, and everything outside the craft was intentionally sacrificed during the season. He justified this isolation through a duty to the audience. Thousands of people pay hard-earned money to watch a professional perform, creating a non-negotiable contract. It is the athlete's job to be in peak physical condition every single night. In 2000, that contract was put to the test. Kobe was suffering from severe, debilitating back spasms right before a matchup against Vince Carter, who was tearing up the league at the time. Resting on a random Tuesday might be acceptable, but resting against a premier rival creates the perception of ducking a challenge. He forced his body through the layup line and played anyway, protecting his psychological dominance over his opponents. Sustaining a position at the absolute top of your field requires you to treat physical pain and personal isolation not as unique hardships, but as standard operating costs. Kobe's process continued to run long after his physical retirement, shifting its focus from the court to the boardroom. This matrix breaks down his criteria for evaluating any investment. 1. Do you understand the business logic? 2. Can you actively add value? 3. What are the barriers to entry? And 4, most crucially, have the founders built a culture of pure obsessiveness? As a studio head producing novels and animated films, he wasn't writing the words or drawing the frames. His job was to recruit other obsessives and push them past their perceived limits. If an animator looked at a project and said, "I can do that easily," he rejected it. He only wanted the projects where the team admitted they didn't know how to pull it off. But the final test of his philosophy happened on the court, late in his career, in a tight game against the Golden State Warriors. He went up for a standard move, and his Achilles tendon completely ruptured. Despite the physical reality of a career-ending injury, his mental response was clinical. He walked off the court under his own power, went into the trainer's room,
looked at his kids, and calmly reassured them that everything was going to be fine. He immediately refused to let his own biology dictate the end of his story. He treated the severed tendon as just another variable to solve, deciding in that exact moment to undergo surgery, endure rehab, and step away from the game strictly on his own terms. When the ego is removed, the world becomes a series of problems to be solved with data. In this framework, biology and failure are no longer obstacles, they are just variables.